So it's been a year and that I've had this. Why don't we talk about it? So it's been a year since I received my Atari VCS, which I have right here, and this is where it belongs, right here. Next to it I have the controllers. I've got the modern controller right here. It's over on the side of the right. I've got my classic controller right here, and over here I have a USB 3.0 hub for the purpose of being able to attach USB devices such as this drive, which I have Windows on, and I boot up Windows once a month. But let's talk about it a little bit more. Alright, so it's been a year since I received my Atari VCS, which I have right here. Bring it up so you can see it a little better. There it is. And you'll notice this little thing in the corner. I'll talk about that in a moment. But I received this. Now, a little backstory is I did the pre-order of the walnut, all-in-one walnut. So the front faceplate is walnut, and that's for the sake that the original Atari 2600, its front was the look of walnut. So I wanted the same. And the TV stand that you saw there is a mid-century modern design, and give it that 70s kind of look. So with that unit, got a modern controller. It's like an Xbox controller. It uses Bluetooth. So just to kind of bring that up, looks like an Xbox controller. So there we go. And then there is the classic controller that came in. It's the all-in bundle that I bought, and which includes the device itself, the modern controller, and the classic controller. Classic controller is your classic joystick kind of look, where works just like a joystick. Additionally, they added a shoulder button on the side, and it's also a paddle. You can twist it and it acts as a paddle. At the very top, it's convex inside, so you can actually rest your thumb on the top to move the stick in different directions. So that's good. Excuse my being out of breath. I've had to move around a lot. So what I did is, what have I done with this? Well, I have expanded the memory on it. I switched out the RAM to 16 gigabytes because you really don't need anything more than that. 32 is just kind of pointless on one of these. I added storage. I added a SATA drive to its SATA slot, 500 gigabytes. So from that, that's where this comes in. This little badge. On computers and stuff like that, you'll see badges like, Intel or AMD and, NVIDIA or whatever. I had my own made up with the channel name and the household logo. So a wonderful person from overseas went ahead and made it up for me, and so I've got a whole bunch of those. And anything I actually create, such as those two other machines, those two towers that I've done with them, I put them into there. And on one of them I added another one for Linux Mint and everything like that. So here's my Atari VCS. So how has it been working over the past year? It's been working pretty well. Now, to clear the air about my use of it, I don't use it all that much. I'm not a gamer, so I don't game like all the time on it. Will I pop on and check out a couple of things? Sure. I'm glad that it's there, because the purpose of this was to have it for whenever anybody happen to want to play anything. So that's why I have that. One game set that or a series that I'm getting very happy about is the Recharged series. And they take a whole bunch of classic games and they've modernized them to utilize the capabilities of the hardware. And I'm very glad for those, and I happen to grab them as they come out, but not like immediately, because they're a little more expensive than what I think might be worthwhile. The latest one that came out as of this recording was Tempest 4000, and the cost of it is, I don't doubt that it's, that it's not worth it. I don't doubt that it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. But for myself, I'm willing to wait a little bit until it comes down a little bit, and then I'll get it on a discount or sale or something. But what I like about the controllers, about these, is being Bluetooth, and being able to use these with my Windows installation on that tower that I've got down there for it. I like how I can link into it. So they're both recognized and I can use them. Have I done it yet? No, I haven't had any need to. But it performs very well. It's had a couple of improvements over the past year. One particular functionality that does not exist, that should, in my eyes, is when you happen to boot another OS, such as Windows. Of course, I've got that USB hub that I just plugged a little stick in. It boots up just fine, it shuts down just fine, stuff like that. But then I unplug that USB drive. The next time I start up the device, it automatically looks for that device and says, hey, it's not there. And then I have to go to my my keyboard, and I actually have to hit enter or some other key to get past the little notice, and then this boots up like normal. However, in my eyes, it shouldn't do that. In my eyes, you plug it in, you plug in your OS, and you start this up, and goes, it does go right to it because it looks for it, and it does that right off the bat. So that's fantastic. However, you remove it and you fire it up. What I'm expecting is for this to boot, Atari OS to boot. It should see that there's nothing there, and it should automatically go to Atari OS. It does not do that. It will actually search for the OS that was previously booted and say it's not there. And from my standpoint, that's like, well, no duh, I took it out. So when I remove the other OS stick and boot it, it should see that it was removed and bypass that and boot up Atari OS directly into here. It does not currently do that as of the date of this recording, which is May 9th, I think, and of 2022. And it's it should be fixed. It's another thing that we don't currently get is when it actually it does updates. You can see that it does updates. You can see it in the upper corner. And also when there's considerable updates, it'll actually run updates before it actually boots the OS. What folks such as myself, I'm kind of techie. I'm from quality assurance, so I do like to see not granular details, but I do like to see something. It's like, what were in the updates? So what I'm looking for constantly is an online URL for a changelog of the most recent updated releases, or a history, something showing history. In this update, we'll call it Atari OS 2022-5- whatever, and then let's say like a series of numbers recording what that change was, or what update that is, whatever the naming convention would be, it doesn't matter. But what I expect to see is a changelog that I can refer to see what actually got updated. It doesn't have to get down to individual bits or functions or objects and stuff like that, but a general summary of, in this update we did this. We updated the OS to allow function X to happen, or this is a new function. Here's a function that was basically put aside. Here's a function that's no longer needed. We took that out. Basically updates of what was changed, what it was, what it went to, things like that. And because I see it like on Reddit, hey, what was in the update? And was it the most recent one I saw said, hey, what was updated? And somebody goes, well, these people do changes all the time. Yeah, okay, so idiot. Why do I say idiot? Well, that's because the person wanted to know what was updated, what was changed. Whether it be for the better or for the worse, whatever, and didn't get that kind of a response. Got a response of like somebody not even related to the project made changes, and there's that. So with this being here for the past year, I am very happy with it. Getting it was interesting. I had put in the order a couple years back, and then I for the pre-order, and when the pre-order was being mailed out to me, the fulfillment center, their computers changed the name on it, got the right address, but they put some guy named Dwayne on there, and showed up, and the UPS driver said, does Dwayne live with you? And I'm like, no, Dwayne does not live with me. I have no idea who this guy is. And she took it, and she basically just raced right off with it. And then I waited another couple of weeks, and still nothing. And I contacted Atari, and they said, yeah, we received it back. And I'm like, yeah, because you tried to send it to Dwayne, and I'm not Dwayne, and the fulfillment center screwed up. Their computer screwed up, at least. Maybe not people, but the computer did. So I corrected them, and they got it out to me within a couple of days. And I've got it, and there it is. So, I've had it for the year. I've run updates on it, and kept it up to date. And I have the Windows installation that I've got, and I keep that updated every month, and it works out pretty well. Something that I would recommend to all the users is to back up the Atari OS, because I've seen people go out. I've seen people saying, "Hey, I need Atari OS," or, "Where can I get it?" And you know, and it's like, it is possible to get it, but at the same time, you know, it's like, I feel it's best to use Atari OS that you've got in the device and back that up. Well, there's no backup functionality in the device, in the OS. You know, so even if there was backup ability in there, it wouldn't be of the OS itself. It would probably be of something, let's say, like whether it be your Atari account or of your games and other programs or apps that you've got in there. But what I would recommend is obtaining a copy or an ISO of a Linux distribution. Doesn't matter which one. However, the easiest one to use that I've seen is Linux Mint. And firing, you know, putting it on a USB drive, throw it into one of the ports. You know, probably one of the front ones is probably best. And go in, you fire it up, and of course, you know, you boot it to the OS, and you could try to use the disk function in there, but what I would only use that for is to find out the name of the EMCC disk that's in here, because it's, you know, it's hard coded to the board and it's actually soldered to the board, but it you know, it might be like SDA or something like that. That might be the name of it. And you know, so use the Linux Mint disks utility to get the name of the disk, and get another disk, another USB stick that is at least 32 gigs. I would go for 64 or higher, because I think that's the next one up anyways. And put it into another USB slot. I've got one here, but I've got something in there. I've got a USB, I've got my dongle for my keyboard and mouse in it right now. But you know, you take it, you put it there. You take your blank USB, and you put it in an open slot, and from the terminal, you fire up terminal, and you do a DD command. You know, like DD space IF equals, and then you'd punch in, let's say, like SDA, and then you go, you know, you space, and then you go OF for output file equals, and then you name it. You know, you'd be like, let's say it was on a second drive, or SDB, let's say. You know, so you SDB, and you kick that off, and what it will do is it will basically clone the drive, the EMCC drive from in here. It'll clone it to that USB stick. It doesn't actually remove it, don't worry about it. It just basically clones a copy onto the USB stick. And there's a command for, you know, to add status if you want to watch it, and it gives it to you by the numbers, and that's about it. And but I just can't think of it at the moment. But you do that, and you know, you'll have your image of your EMCC you know, OS installation of your Atari VCS, and you can have that aside should you ever need it to restore it if it happens to go corrupt or breaks out on you and you need to reflash it. So there you can do with that. So that's what I would recommend as far as any backups go. But you know, it's been a year. It's been in good shape. I've treated the wood good. You know, treated it nicely, given it some wood oil to keep it nice and nice and new looking. Don't do it all the time, because you know, you don't want to oversaturate the wood. And rest of the time it just sits there, and I just run my updates on occasion. And you know, do I play any games? I'll pop into one every once in a year. for a moment, just to kind of, keep my mind up to date on, how it's working and such. But otherwise, it just sits there. I'm not a gamer. I do play one computer game on the computer on a somewhat regular basis, but I'm not like glued to it all the time. I'm glued to this even less. The main reason I got this was, well, I'm a fan of the original 2600 because I actually grew up with one, and I liked it very much, and it was a nice device. And the games on it were fantastic. I had over 40 games on it, and I've got a whole bunch on here, and of course I've got AnStream and everything like that. And I like that I can use these on my computer, although I haven't yet, but I do have them set up, and everything's good with that. And so now, I'm just going to continue as I have been with it, and we will try to continue it going forward. I like the Recharge series of releases because they actually, uses the hardware very well, and it does a really good job. And I love the classics. Was it the 4-bit? I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the 2600 used to be 4-bit back in the day. And people talk about, 8-bit this, 8-bit that, 8-bit that. Yeah, that's the NES. My time comes from before it, which is the 4-bit, the 2600 days. So this is for that. And the games that are available for it, they're fantastic games. We should have something a little more up to date on it, I think, but not to the point where you don't recognize them anymore. They should be classic. That's why I like the Recharge. It brings it current, and it shows the nostalgia of it. And I do have one complaint about it, is that there's no easy way to back out. Where you should just be able to hit, B? Should, hit B or Y just to back out of the game and get yourself back to the menu. Or, an exit button or a selection on their menus. They don't have anything like that, so you actually have to power down. What I've seen is they have to power down the unit and then fire it back up if you want to, get out of that game. And it's like, well, maybe that's to give it the classic, classic Atari effect on it, but at the same time, it's not necessary. So, I'd like to see that kind of functionality back into those games. But the device itself is fine, and it's been working just fine. I do want to see a change log online that I can refer to see what was changed, updated, added, removed. And, here's the update that was just put out, and this was what was included. This was added, this was changed, that was removed. Even if it's like security updates and stuff like that. I want to see that kind of stuff. So, so after a year, that's where I stand right now. And, that's what my experience has been like. So, changelog, and the other one is to boot to Atari OS. Inside this, if you've run an OS separately, that when you unplug the drive for that, next time you turn this on, it should just come right back to this. It should not go searching for the previous one. You should just see that there's nothing there and automatically fire up Atari OS. So there we go. So that's it for me. And and we'll talk to you later. So, Skál.